American Express Platinum card, you can unlock experiences like no other. Find out your welcome.
You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Shabbat Shalom, fellow Goyim. How are we doing today? It is once again time for This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. I'm Hobbs, he's Ben. You're in Clown World. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share. Start dropping comments down in the comment section so we can actually speak to you instead of just at you. Help drive the conversation as well as drive the algorithm, because if you chat with us and we chat back with you, it bumps viewership up, or doesn't bump viewership up, it bumps the feed up in the algorithm, which helps more people see us, which helps more conversation to get started. So go ahead, drop your comments, your questions, your petty insults, whatever. I don't care.
We got a Go Big Red over here from Nathan. Damn straight.
Yeah, there you go.
It is March Madness. I know some of our people watch sports ball. White men are back. At one point, Nebraska had a full court of white players, so it was good to see.
Mid-March, and we're already hard charging into white boy summer.
Yep, they're starting it up. But yeah, it's more the same from last week a little bit. You know, Epic Fury is becoming less and less epic as we go on now.
Yeah, and I think most of the fury is coming from stateside.
Yeah,
as to why are we doing this? But
the old U.S. playbook of mission creep in the Middle East.
Yeah, quite possibly the most predictable thing to ever see coming. But for some reason, you know, it's like communism and regime change in the Middle East are just the two stupid ideas in the world that will not die no matter how many times you try them.
Yeah, I mean, what we started off, what are we up to that we're taking out now? I don't know. The initial mission, it seems, was just to take out the leadership, right?
Allegedly, a decapitation.
Then it became missile capability.
Mm-hmm.
Then it became what? The IGRC?
First it was nuclear capability in June of last year, and that was completely obliterated until it wasn't, and then it became taking out of the leadership, and that happened, and that wasn't good enough, and then it was ballistic missile capability, and now that's not good enough, and now the Straits of Hormuz are closed, which is the most predictable thing. I mean, since the Iranian IRGC took control in 1979, every single Middle Eastern analyst, war analyst, anybody with two brain cells to rub together knew that the Straits of Hormuz would be a potential choke point or a pressure point that Iran could use as leverage to keep from being attacked.
We have over here, Epic Fury has become flaccid whining.
Yeah, it's flailing. They're flailing at anything right now, and the MAGA base, which was, well, not even the MAGA base, because a lot of the MAGA sycophants are just all on board with this because they're just, you know, whatever Trump decides.
Have you seen that thing floating around the CNN graphic? Trump's approval among MAGA at 100%.
Yeah, that's the most ridiculous and fake poll in the world, and it's easy to see that that was a bunch of bullcrap, and it appears that CNN has figured out how to leverage polls in order to stroke Trump's ego. Because if you'll remember, when CNN would post polls that Trump was underwater on any particular issue, most of the time they took that to mean we're pissing off the right people. If it's a CNN poll and they're not happy with us, then we're probably doing the right thing and we should just stay the course. Now, when they get up there and they say that 100% of MAGA devotees are still on board the Trump train for this Iran war, I mean, to put that into perspective, North Korea just held their elections and Kim Jong Un only got 99.93% of the vote. So,
man, the balls on the people that did not vote for Kim Jong Un, though.
I'm pretty sure that 0.07% was just a number that they decided to cut off of the top to make it look like it wasn't completely rigged, you know.
Well, if there's anybody that would fall for a reverse psychology experience by network news, it would be the MAGA base. So CNN is using the right tactic there.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is though is that there's the MAGA base, which are like the diehard Trump followers, the cult of personality followers. And for the most part,
which is mostly boomers at this point, right?
Yeah. But with a few exceptions, the MAGA base, the Trump people, and let's be sure that we can kind of differentiate between the two there. You have the MAGA, which make America great again, the people that are 100% invested in a policy position that will be in America's best interest. Let's call those the MAGA people. And if those are what we're going to define as the MAGA people, I'm MAGA, you're MAGA. Quite a few.
Well, wouldn't that be the American First crowd, or not really?
Yeah, you could lump them as well. The America First crowd, you know, America First TM. That's a Nick Fuentes, Groyper, but for the most part, yeah. And then you have the Trump people that are on board with Trump, and they see that no matter what decision Trump makes, that it's got to be in the best interest of the United States. So you have the people that want policy, and then you have the people that want the person, the steak versus the sizzle people. And the Trump people, the cult of personality people, are still 100% on board. And if those are the people that CNN polled, assuming that they decided to poll anyone at all, but assuming that those are the people that polled, then yeah, I absolutely believe that 100% of those people are still on board the Trump train, even with the Iran war going on. But if you're taking the people who are 100% issues, their issue is the policy that is in the best interest of the United States, those numbers have gone off a cliff. And counted amongst those people are not just Republican voters. Trump came into office this second term with a coalition, a big tent coalition. He had the RFK Maha people that were interested in things like pesticides, GMOs, clean vaccines, healthcare reform, things of that nature. You had the Tulsi Gabbard liberals who were interested in the demilitarization of police and the spy apparatus, the panopticon that's been keeping tabs on American people. You had the Ron Paul libertarian types that were on board because they saw a potential inroad to fiscal responsibility, including auditing the Fed and auditing Fort Knox. Whatever happened to that? Auditing Fort Knox. That would be be a big win.
I think that's part of what got Elon out. I think Elon saw what was in Fort Knox and he's like, oh, okay, this whole thing's fucked.
Yeah. And then, you know, speaking of Elon, there's another member of the coalition. You had a lot of the libertine West Coast Silicon Valley types that saw Trump as good for business. And they saw the unforced error, let's say, of cooperating with the federal government to spy and dox political opponents under the Biden administration as being a long-term, nigh-on suicidal a tactic that they were taking. So they decided to jump ship from leftism and then go in on Trump because Trump is the businessman, and if he's going to do things that are good for business and you are a business, it would make sense. So Trump had this broad coalition of political perspectives that did not seem like they fit together well. And with one stupid, just stupid move, he's decided to completely shatter that coalition. So now all he's got on his side are the hawkish evangelical boomers and everybody else pissed off at him.
What was that thing I saw? 2016 Never Trumpers. It was like Lindsey Graham, Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Ted Cruz. Yep. And it's like 2026 MAGA, same faces.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And you're old enough to remember, and I'm old enough to remember the Tea Party movement. 2008, Barack Obama gets elected to office. He was a freshman senator when he ran for president, and he won. But everything from his past, from his community organizing days to the one term that he served as senator, told us everything that we needed to know about what kind of a president he was going to be. He was going to be a big government, tax and spend, welfare benefits, just typical Democrat of that time. And the Tea Party movement started up. The T was kind of a double entendre. It stood for taxed enough already as an acronym, and it also harkened back to the Boston Tea Party, which was also a tax revolt. So it had a bit of a dual meaning, and it started out mainly as a coalition of Ron Paul types, the fiscally responsible econ hawks, and it was quickly subverted and subsumed by big Republican. Guys like Ted Cruz rode the crest of that wave into the Senate. So I believe that Ted Cruz was one of the first Tea Party Republicans to get elected. That was when he got his first election in there. And then there were a lot of establishment Republicans that were already in office who decided to kind of put on the veneer of the Tea Party. And rather than internalize the message, they just put on the Tea Party as a skin suit and then rode it until it collapsed in the middle of the road, shot it in the head, and walked off. So now, you bring up the Tea Party, and all that ever does is just elicit a chuckle out of people who have been paying attention to politics for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, it just kind of died with a whimper, the Tea Party. It was so disgusting. After all, there was countrywide protests. Even here where I'm at, there were protests outside the courthouse about taxation, and it just went away.
Another interesting thing that came about around the same time as the Tea Party was on the ascendancy, especially going into the 2012 election, around 2010, 2011, and then on up into 2012, along with the Tea Party was the left-wing, not alternative, but almost the mirror image of the Tea Party with the Occupy Wall Street. And even though these things were coming at the same problem from a different angle, they were more or less essentially aligned, because the right wing, the Tea Party, was coming at this from this is a problem with the government and the government's involvement in our lives. And the left wing was coming at it from this is a corporatist, crony capitalist problem, and their ability to influence politics is what is having the negative impact on our lives. So they were both right for different reasons. And then as these two movements were both on the ascendancy, do you know what else came out of nowhere and decided to, rather than having these two movements begin to see eye to eye and work on genuine solutions, something else cropped up in the news, in media, in pop culture, in music, and in movies. And do you know what that thing was?
Diversity?
Race grievances.
Okay.
Usage of the word racism, and you can look up on Google Analytics, 2010, 2011, 2012, through the roof. Because we had Barack Obama as president, and it made the perfect camel's nose under the tent flap in order to shoehorn racism in to every single thing. Because you'll remember, 2008 to 2012, Barack Obama, first black president, everything's cool. We're America. This is the post-racial society. But then when they figured out that the left and the right were coming at the why is our lives getting steadily shittier, maybe we can figure something out. They're like, oh fuck, what are we going to do? So what we're going to do is we're going to call the right-wing rugged individualist people racist all the time, because obviously they're coming after the government. They're saying the government is the root of all of their problems. We have a black man in the White House. Obviously, it's only because Barack Obama's black, so we're just going to call them racist. And then on the other hand, we're going to just hammer home to the left-wing people that racism is the absolute worst thing, the worst societal ill that has ever been wrought upon this country. It's the original sin of the United States, and it is your duty to be anti-racist. And hey, guess what? Those Tea Party people, they're racists. Mm-hmm. And that's what tore the whole thing apart.
And then, that kind of worked into all the DEI crap and everything from there on the left. It kind of we're kind of entering a post-racial era again, but not in the way it was before, I guess. You know what I mean? How would I say this without sounding terrible? I mean, we're kind of coming to the conclusion that back in the 90s, where casual racism was around, but we weren't racist. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, the casual racism of the 90s, a lot of people were okay with it because it was oftentimes it was banter. Mm-hmm. It was banter in the same way that the English and the Irish and the Scottish and the Welsh banter with each other. These are all four distinct ethnic groups occupying the same tiny parcel of land, and they say things to and about one another that, to an outside observer that's not familiar with how these four ethnic groups interact with each other, sounds awful. Mm-hmm. But in the context of how these people banter with each other, it's perfectly cool. An Englishman can call a Welshman a sheep fucker, mm-hmm. and that's awful to somebody who doesn't know what the context of it is. But in the context of how these people interact, it's perfectly fine. And in the 90s, we were approaching that sort of post-racial inter-ethnic banter in the United States. You could, Gran Torino.
I lived it. I lived it in high school in the 90s. I grew up on military bases. It's probably 50-50 white and black. Mm-hmm. Racist stuff was said between everybody all the time. Yeah. But everybody was fine with it. We all got along. We understood, okay. I mean, we would live next door to each other. A white family from, bumblefuck Louisiana would live next door to an inner city family from Detroit. Yeah, they understood they were different.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was banter. Mm. It didn't come from a place of hate. It came from a place of understanding. It's like that movie Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. Remember when he goes to the construction site and he calls the foreman like a dirty wop, and the foreman calls him a stupid Polak, and then the Asian kid, he's like, how many stupid micks have you got working here? It's like, watch your mouth, you dumb gook. He's like, shut up, wop. And they banter back and forth because they don't actually hate each other. It's how men who are comfortable and secure speak to each other.
Mm-hmm. Nathan commented over here again, 90s racism, like two friends talking friendly shit to each other, and then woke came around and made us all feel bad about it.
Yep.
And
perfectly.
Wokeness ruined a lot of things. I think we're still seeing some of the wokeness money laundering in Hollywood still. game studios are still putting out games that are total crap that were obviously just DEI initiatives, and they just tank instantly. We're starting to see how the wokeness and diversity thing was just, I mean, we've talked about it. It's just a money laundering scheme. And it's almost over. I mean, the West Coast, all the tech firms, that's going away. The government, we closed all those offices. All that progressive wokey money laundering is slowly dying away.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what our post era is here. Maybe this is why the Iran war had to kick off. We need another distraction. I don't know.
There's that kind of cringe meme, but in a way it really rings true. And it's like a guy, it's like shot from behind, and it's a black guy and a white guy, and they're walking like away from the camera, and like the white guy's got like a Confederate flag t-shirt on, and the black guy's dressed kind of hood, but they're like bumping fists, and it says, "This is what the people in power actually fear."
Right. And that example of Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party, that pretty much sums it up perfectly. Mm-hmm. And the Iran war thing, I keep thinking about back to why Trump would even do this. What have you seen? What are the conspiracy theories you've seen that why Trump would even go in on this? Are they still thinking that it's bad intel from Israel?
That seems to be the general consensus. And every once in a while, that somebody that would be in a position to know will let it slip that was the case. That it was either Israel fed us bad information in order to get us in there, or they rushed us in because, like I said last week, they saw their one and only opportunity to carry out this decapitation strike and just decided to take it.
I've kind of been wondering too, we've talked about the evangelicals trying to push the right buttons to trigger Armageddon. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if Trump maybe, I mean, he's old, he's getting to the end of his life. He's starting to think about what's going to happen after this mortal realm. And he bought into some bullshit, oh, well, if I do this, I'll do good enough. I'll be good enough to get into heaven at this point, and Bibi's smart enough. He'd play right into it probably.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but if Trump is thinking about legacy long term, doing something like this, that's not only is it pissing our money up a wall, but it's also ruining the entire global economy. Mm-hmm. You've got like 20% of the world's energy flows through that tiny little strait, 20 to 25%, and that's cut off right now. Iran is holding that strait hostage. They're literally holding it hostage, where they're saying that boats can traverse through the strait as long as they are not affiliated with the United States or Israel, and they pay a fee. And that fee has to be paid in Chinese yuan, because that's like the next strongest currency in the world. So what they're trying to do, and what they are successfully doing, is not only holding the world's energy supply hostage, but they're also bringing about the end to the Bretton Woods petrodollar, mm-hmm. which is basically the linchpin that holds the United States dollar as the world reserve currency. You lose that status, I hope you like eating rats.
And I think they undersold how big of a stranglehold Iran could have had on that strait. And I'd read a story today. I had no idea about it. Apparently there's an island off of Iran's coast that they call it the unsinkable carrier. They've weaponized this island immensely with ballistic missiles, drone launching. And you think, well, that's easy. Just fly over and blow it up. Well, no, this island for 500 years, they've mined salt out of it. It has 61 kilometers of deep tunnels throughout this island that overlooks and defends the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, the only way you're going to take out something like that is I mean, a nuke.
Even then, that's not even going to do it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Fort Drum, not the one in New York. There was a fortress in the Bay of Manila in the Philippines. It was this tiny little island called Fort Drum, and the United States Army Corps of Engineers basically built it up into a giant concrete box. And it was damn near impregnable. And when the United States retreated from the Philippines, they left it there, and the Japanese took it over and garrisoned it. So when the United States came back, they had to deal with Fort Drum. They shelled the shit out of it with battleship main guns. They dropped aircraft. I mean, they dropped tons and tons of ordnance on this little island. Hardly did anything at all. So what they ended up having to do was, in the night, sending a small boat with a few engineers and a shitload of diesel fuel, and they just started pumping diesel fuel into the air ducts and struck a match. And that's how they finally got the Japs out of Fort Drum in the Bay of Manila. And that's something that realistically you would have to do to something. If you got 61 kilometers of underground salt mine tunnels, that's about the only way to get somebody out without sending in like a fucking battalion of SF tunnel rats.
Yeah. And I saw the reports, that they were sending Marines over there. I haven't seen that pop up again. I guess we're going to escalate it to ground war at this point. I don't know. It's such a mess. And, what did I see? They need $200 billion more dollars.
That's what the Department of War has asked for. Which, let's put that into perspective here real quick. $200 billion is about the entirety of the aid that the United States has given to Ukraine. So 4 years of Ukraine aid in a one-shot defense budget appropriation. Way to put it into another perspective is that when Trump proposed the border wall, construction estimates came back between $5 to $6 billion, and that was too much.
Yeah,
too much. $200 billion for an unnecessary war with Iran. We'll think about it. $5 to $6 billion to secure the southern border. Whoa. Hey, big spender, we're already $39 trillion in debt. Let's pull the reins.
Even the fires here in Nebraska, it literally, I think, took an act of Congress to get $100 million for fire relief of almost 1 million acres of fire damage. And that's 1 day of missiles in Iran.
Yeah, I think we were spending something like $1.5 billion a day. Ordinance.
Yeah, even more than. We had some comments over. What about the island where 90% of Iran's oil is shipped out of? Yeah, that Karg Island, that one too. Thoughts here, we might have to try to take it. Yeah, those 2 islands. I guess they want to go that far. I guess Trump's new thing that we're hitting next, he's going to start hitting their power plants. That'll really get the people on your side in Iran.
Yeah, no shit. One of the other things that was recently struck over their civilian infrastructure is a natural gas field called South Pars. Israel struck South Pars, allegedly without informing or asking or anything from the United States. Just decided to hit civilian infrastructure, energy infrastructure. So in retaliation, Iran struck the Qatari section because it's all like one big gas field that goes like underneath of the Persian Gulf, and Iran is tapping into it on the northern side of it, and Qatar is tapping into it on the southern side of it. So Israel hits the Iran portion, Iran hits the Qatari portion, and Trump comes out and he's like, hey, Israel did this on their own. You got to stop shooting at Qatar's shit. If you don't stop shooting at Qatar's shit, then I'm going to get involved and I'm going to take out all of your shit.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's just escalation. Nobody seems willing to want to come to the table because the two parties involved here are stubborn as mules.
And I don't understand why he thinks threatening the regime over stuff like that would do harm to the Iranian everyday man would have any sort of effect whatsoever. They're already killing. I mean, we've seen news reports are doing it. I assume they're doing it. They're already killing people in protests. They had some people from their Olympic team. I forget what they did. They knelt during the Iranian anthem or something, and they ended up killing them. I mean, why would Iran give a shit if Trump inconveniences the civilians? That just plays into their hand even more.
Yeah, right now the biggest loser out of all of this is just the average Iranian citizen.
Mm-hmm.
They're stuck between their own homicidal regime, a regime in Israel that would like to see them completely Amaleked. That's another fun little term that Bibi Netanyahu keeps putting out into the ether, hoping that something occurs there. Oh, you know what that is? All right, I'll circle back around to that. But you got your average Iranian citizen stuck between their own homicidal regime, the homicidal regime of Israel that would like to see them Amaleked, and then the United States, which is just like bombs away. Let's destroy your infrastructure. Let's kill your leadership. Let's take out the head of your military and set all of your troops loose to just do whatever the hell it is that they want. Yeah. So anyways, circling back to the Amalek thing. So there's an old story in the Bible that Amalek is basically, it's like the mortal enemy. And the story of Amalek is that God commanded the Israelites to completely and utterly wipe out and destroy Amalek. Kill everyone, men, women, children, babies, livestock, burn everything. Like, the thing was that it was, the destruction needed to be so thorough that the Israeli army was not allowed to take anything from them because they were all that tainted. You're not allowed to plunder their gold. You're not allowed to take over their city and live in their houses. It was like every single thing that was associated with Amalek was unclean and needed to be utterly and completely destroyed. And that's what they did. And I think, if I remember my Sunday school Bible lessons, I believe that there was a couple of named soldiers that thought they would sneak some gold out and ended up getting like executed for it or something like that. I don't know. It's been a while.
I mean, a common tactic for the time. Look at the Assyrians did the same thing to anybody that decided to resist them. They killed everybody. But we saw the Assyrians turned out, so they no longer exist.
Yeah. Were we so lucky?
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty harsh. I want to say that tactic is a product of the times. That's a pretty harsh tactic to bring up in today's world.
Yeah, it is. It's nearly unspeakable, and yet Netanyahu has referred to the Palestinians as Amalek. He's referred to the Iranians as Amalek, and there is, in a certain roundabout way, he may have referred to the United States as Amalek, in that he was caught on one microphone talking to some Israeli journalists about how we fought with Rome once before. We have to win the next one. We lost that one. We have to win the next one. And then he was also giving a speech where he referred to the United States as the new Rome. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been posited. He's not. We're not even the new Rome. We're just the same Rome extended.
DLC edition Rome.
Yeah, DLC edition Rome. I mean, that's interesting. So, what does he bring it? I mean, what does he bring it up? Like, is he bringing it up like this is what they're going to end up if they don't surrender? Or I guess I don't even know what they would ask for if Iran surrendered at this point.
Yeah, me neither. Because it's not like Iran is contiguous to Israel. You got an entire other country right between them. You know, if you really think about it, you have Israel and Iran are exchanging ballistic missiles and one-way attack drones with each other, and Iraq is just there in the middle, going like, "Oh, hey,
I actually saw a video of that. It was pretty funny. Did you see that one?
Yeah, yeah. The guy like taking a selfie while ballistic missiles are flying overhead. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I haven't thought of it. I mean, what is a so Iran comes out tomorrow and says, "All right, you got us." I mean, what does that entail? An occupation by the United States?
I have no idea. There are people out there saying that we need to have like the United Nations come in and put like a demilitarized zone along the coast to protect the Straits of Hormuz.
Oh my gosh.
That there needs
that'll
to be
easy to do.
Yeah, it's Iran is a messy place because the terrain is worse than Afghanistan and the country is 3 times the size of Texas.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get troops to Tehran, it's on the other side of a mountain range, isn't it? From the coast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how does that happen? You're going to sweet talk Turkey into letting you run all our troops through Turkey? I mean, it's so bizarre to me. And so, I mean, Iran is in a perfect position then. So if there's nothing, if there's nothing that they can lose in a surrender, why would they ever give up?
I don't know. And that's just the thing. Nobody.
And what happens if we give up? All right, if we're like, all right, fuck it, we're out. It just goes back to business as usual. But now Israel and the United States can't send ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I guess.
Well, if the United States decided that we've, accomplished what we came there to accomplish and pull out, everybody is going to see that we actually just tucked tail and ran. Just flip the chessboard over and say that we won the game. And that's not what that's going to do is it's going to shatter the illusion of U.S. invincibility. It's going to shatter the illusion of U.S. hegemony. You're going to have a lot of other countries that have, up until this point, in some cases, relied upon out of necessity, and in other cases, just leaned on the United States and its military spending for their own defense.
Yeah, that's one of the articles I saw, that this whole thing with Iran, I mean, since Qatari and UAE are kind of fending for themselves against these missile strikes, and I guess it turns out UAE is actually kind of a badass when it comes to their defenses. They've shut down something like 90% of everything that's come towards them. It's going to show them that, you know what, I guess you don't need the United States.
Yeah.
They're just going to do fucking stupid shit, and you're going to get missiles shot at you.
Yeah. But then you also have to take a look at some of the other players in the game. Specifically, you've got countries like Japan and South Korea that have relied upon the U.S.'s protection. Taiwan, about the only thing that's keeping China at bay is the threat of the U.S. intervening. But since we're tied up in the Persian Gulf right now, China might make a move just to re-annex Taiwan.
I don't know. I think this makes China be like, when they're seeing how easy it is for a smaller, shitty country to hold off a superpower if you have a whole shitload of cheap drones and, some basic defenses. I don't know. I think it might make Taiwan or China think, we got to go back to the drawing board a little bit on this.
Right, but at the same time, you have to ask yourself, are the people of Taiwan as eager to take that kind of a pounding? Because Iran it's a small country, but like I said, it's 3 times the size of Texas. So it's not that small. It's also a theocracy.
Way more dangerous than a lot of things for that reason. When you believe that God is on your side, it's a very good motivator, I'm sure.
Yeah. Taiwan, on the other hand, is a very, very tiny island. They don't have that religious fervor. They do have an ideological fervor in that they are the descendants of the Republican Chinese who decided to get away from the communist revolution, but that was 80 years ago, and there's a lot of time for communist propaganda to influence.
And China keeps tweaking their communism a little bit towards, they're a long way from Maoism to what they are today.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot closer to like the dictionary definition of fascism today than actual communism.
Yeah, they keep tweaking the sauce in their burger recipe. They're gonna have Taiwan might look at it one day and be like, well, I mean, their government's not that bad anymore. Is it worth getting our ass kicked over? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you also have to look at Japan. One analyst that I was reading about today was saying that the kind of right-wing nationalists that are in power right now in Japan may be amenable to amending the so-called peace constitution and remilitarizing. If they take a look at the United States is no longer a reliable and stable partner in defense, then we had better get our shit together militarily, because you never know when China is going to get froggy on us, or even Russia. There's some bad blood between Russia and Japan as well. Another one is South Korea. South Korea, Seoul, the capital, is 30 minutes south of the DMZ. And North Korea has enough conventional artillery aimed at Seoul to completely flatten the city with 1 day of bombardment. So, to add insult to that injury, the United States pulled a number of air defense batteries out of South Korea to ship to the Middle East in order to defend our interests in the various Gulf state military bases, as well as Israel. So when South Korea has a very belligerent neighbor directly to their north, and the big dog in their corner suddenly decides to take the umbrella off, they might be expecting the steel rain, and now they're thinking, well, we better get our shit together militarily as well. And then you take a look over into Europe right now.
Comment over here. Heard China plans hit Taiwan in 2027. That was some general back in, was it 21? He pretty much gave a guarantee. He thought that Taiwan was going to be hit by 2027, but now they've backed off in that, and I think they're saying by 2030. But who knows? I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there, Prepper. That's an interesting. I mean, has North Korea made any sorts of? Have they hinted that they have any interest in reunification with the South? Like they would try and take it by force? I've never even.
I don't think so. I think that right now the belligerence of North to South is almost completely hinging on the United States' involvement in the South. Mm-hmm. And I think that if the United States were to draw down or draw away, ironically enough, I think that the work that Trump did on North Korea in his first term might actually make the Korean reunification a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean I think the main threat that South Korea would have to worry about is China, and ironically the the barrier for China to them would be North Korea. I don't see North Korea just peaceful of being like, oh yeah, China.
Well, there's that, but another barrier for China would be their fixation on Taiwan. Mm-hmm. Now, would China take Korea if it did not come at the expense of anything? Probably. I think that even the Koreans, though, even the North Koreans right now view China more as an alliance out of necessity, as well as communist ideologically aligned. Mm-hmm. But I think that if there was a Korean reunification, then Korean ethnic identity would supersede any of that ideological ties, and they would be opposed to basically being a conquered colony of China. With that being said, though, Taiwan throws another monkey wrench in there, because would China like to have Korea? Probably. Does China want Taiwan? Absolutely. And that is the jewel in their crown, apparently, that they want this tiny little island for some reason. So
chip manufacturing at this point. I mean, it used to be just like it probably just used to be like an honor thing. You know, they want it
black eye,
a black eye. But now, you know, there's money involved at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then shifting over into Europe, you have a lot of European countries that are already viewing the United States as an unreliable military partner, and are beginning the process of potentially reinstituting conscription and mandatory military service for young high school graduates. There's rearmament programs in several European countries. They're eyeballing Russia as the potential boogeyman that's going to come. You know, all 145 million Russians are going to take out 530 million Europeans, apparently. But the big problem.
I always wanted to see the United States pull back from being the world's police force. I'd hope it would be due to us coming to our senses and wanting to save money, not due to incompetence from everybody telling us to get the fuck out.
Yeah,
not the ending I wanted.
And in a shocking display of testicular fortitude, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, tweeted something out the other day where he said that if the United States decides that it wants to leave NATO, that's their choice. They're free to do it. No hard feelings, but they've got to have the plans and the infrastructure in place to vacate all United States military assets from all of the bases that are scattered around Europe and the rest of NATO within 48 hours. Mm-hmm. And Keir Starmer, as the head of the UK, would essentially be the next in line to kind of be the top dog of NATO. Because after the U.S. president, it's the UK that is the number one contributor. I mean, it's a distant second, but there it is.
Well, and speaking of that, the UK and military bases, Iran launched a rocket at Diego Garcia, which is owned by England, and we have a military base there, which, interesting enough, it's like 4,000 kilometers away from Iran. That puts all of Europe within striking distance of Iran, apparently, if they have a missile that can make that sort of range.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about the Diego Garcia strike is that Diego Garcia is part of the Chagos Islands, and the UK is in the process of handing over ownership of the Chagos Islands to the nation of Mauritius, which is a China ally. For some reason, and the thing is that Chagos Island was never a part of Mauritius. And everybody in the UK is like, why are you doing this? This doesn't make any sense. Because not only is he planning on handing over control of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, he's also planning on paying Mauritius 90 billion pounds for the privilege of taking this highly strategically important island chain. People are just like, what are you doing? And it boils down to Chagos Islands is basically the last vestige of British imperialism, and he just feels bad about it.
I mean, so it's nowhere near Mauritius.
No, it's not anywhere close.
I thought it was off the coast of Madagascar. I was like, that can't be right? And yeah, it's. If you wanted to hand it off to somebody, there's multiple tiny island nations that are closer than Mauritius.
Or he could have just handed it off to us.
Yeah.
That was always an option because the Diego Garcia military base is still there. We're still occupying it. It will still be under lease. We are still paying Britain for the lease for that land, as far as I know, or maybe it's a joint base or something like that. But it's extremely important strategically, and so now that's going to be kind of up in the air. And another interesting thing about it is there are more ethnic Chagosians living in the UK than on the Chagos Islands. And the people in the Chagos Islands are not happy with it because they're like, we don't have any connection to Mauritius at all.
Yeah.
Like we are a British Commonwealth protectorate. We like being part of the Britain Commonwealth. What are you doing? And Keir Starmer and his government are just like so tore up about Britain's imperial past that we've got to make this right.
It'd be like if we got rid of Hawaii and gave it to Papua New Guinea or something.
Yeah.
Comment over here. Are we going to talk about Joe Kent? It was on the stuff we were going to talk about.
Yeah, but we're up on an hour and I'm freaking tired.
Yeah. We got way in the weeds there. We'll have to hit on. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some other follow. I'm waiting for. Tulsi's made some hints about, breaking rank on some stuff. Can't forget the one other thing we want to talk about. F's in the chat for Chuck Norris.
Oh.
Finally lost a battle.
Nah, he died 9 years ago. It's just the Grim Reaper finally got the courage to come and take him home.
Right. What did I see? Warhammer 40K thing. They're loading him into a dreadnought.
I've seen a lot of Chuck Norris stuff. That seems to be the thing that is pretty universal. Like Chuck Norris was a pretty right-wing guy, but even the left-wingers are like, yeah, Chuck Norris was a legend, and you shall not sully his name.
Never heard a bad thing about the dude, even in today's era. Never heard anybody say anything bad about him. That's rare.
No, he seems to have been a disciplined, stoic, and just all-around wholesome guy. And unfortunately, Variety magazine didn't get that memo. And they decided to try and write something about how his right-wing politics would overshadow his legacy. They got ratioed by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, which if you don't follow Jimmy's on
Is
Twitter,
that what that was from? To. Okay.
Yeah. Just all they did was put "go fuck yourself" and just ratioed them to hell and back. And then the Variety article on Twitter got the community notes that said that Chuck Norris killed his shadow because nobody overshadows Chuck Norris.
I saw multiple things. He loved those memes too. So, great man, probably one of the few out there. So lived to be 85 or so.
86, actually.
86. Nobody had a bad thing to say about him. If only I could strive for that.
He actually just had his 86th birthday on the 10th. So it's 11 days ago. And he apparently, we don't know what happened yet. His family hasn't come forth with any details. But he was in Hawaii when it happened. He was working out and doing some sparring with a martial arts partner on Wednesday, and then he was rushed to the hospital either Wednesday evening or Thursday morning. So
what a way to go. Hanging out in Hawaii, doing what he loved. Heart attack. I couldn't ask for better. I can ask for a better ending.
Either that or my theory right now is that he went on a hike and fell down a mountain. Just suddenly might have fallen down a mountain, which proves that it takes nothing less than a major terrain feature to take Chuck Norris out of living.
Right. Well, great. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We're up on the hour here. Rhodes number 2 Liberty on Rumble, YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. We rarely post there. R2L Pod at Twitter. Our website, Rhodes number 2 Liberty.com. Alex Jones Store /R2L, correct?
Correct.
Check out Alex Jones Store stuff. We'll be back next week, maybe. We'll see how it plays out. But thanks for joining.
If Ben's not here, I will get on the Rumble Studios and I will either do a solo show or maybe I'll grab a guest and see what we can work out from there.
There you go.
Maybe we can get Nathan to join me next week. If he's got time to watch, he's got time to jump in.
Hop in once in a while. Yep. Great. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. Stay honky and be like Chuck.